Hello friends, welcome to the Basics of Geography series. And this is our IS Conclave Institute which provide you free as well as premium video. And for that, please subscribe our YouTube channel IS Conclave. And this is our series name especially for geography. And this is in a geography incubation series for civil services examination and especially for those students who lack command on the basics. And we are here, I am Rohit Mandhan and I am here to facilitate you on this geography basics series. Okay, and especially, and we have also started some others series like on the economy also. Okay, so you can also watch our economy series on our IS Conclave YouTube channel. Now today we will look at the igneous textures. Okay, igneous textures, what can they tell? What they can tell? So we will tackle in this session the questions. Identify and describe the 6 major igneous textures. So this is our main questions. But before we are going to deep dive in these questions, we have to understand the texture. What is textures? What we imagine that what is textures? We feel that and we imagine that the texture is the appearance of the rock, but it is not true. Okay, what is texture then? The texture is the term used to describe the overall appearance of the rock based on the size, shape and arrangement of its मिनरल ग्रेन. जो क्रिस्टल्स होते हैं उनका अरेंजमेंट, हाउ दे आर अरेंज, what are their shape, like they are fine grain or they are coarse. Okay, how their arrangement, okay, their shape and their size. So this is how we can define texture. Okay, what they can tell us. The next question is what they can tell us. This is the answer. Texture is an important property because it reveals a great deal about the environment in which rock forms. Like the rock form in the intrusive process, whether it is in intrusive process or extrusive process. Okay, so this is how we can reveal the environment. Now look at what factor influence the texture of the igneous rock. So there are major 3 factors, the major 3 determinants of the rock formations which determine the textures of the igneous rock. First one is the rate at which the molten rock cools, the cooling rate. The second is the amount of the silica present. Okay, and the third one is the amount of the dissolved gases in the magma. Okay, now look at one by one. The first one is the rate at which the molten rock cools. The cooling rate. What cooling rate determines? The cooling rate determines the size of the crystal. It determines the size of the crystal. Okay. Example. We will took an example of 2 process. The one is extrusive process, where cooling rate will be very fast. Here cooling rate would be very fast. If cooling rate is so fast, that means when magma erupt, it will fastly, very fastly, highly fastly जो है क्या होगी, it will crystallize. So whenever magma crystallize very fast at a very high speed, that means the जो ions होंगे, they crystallize at their very locations. So they cease their movement at the beginning, and that's how the igneous textures will be very fine grain. This is fine grain. Now look at the intrusive process. If the process is intrusive, that means the rock crystallizes within the earth at a greater depth. That means the process would be very slow. If the process would be very slow, the crystal size would be very large. Okay, so this is how this process define the crystal shape. Now look at the second, the amount of the silica present in the magma. What silica content determine? What silica content determine? Silica content determine the magma viscosity. What is viscosity? Viscosity is the resistance to flow. If magma has a high content of the silica, that means it is very viscous. If it is very viscous, it will determine its eruption of the magma. What is the nature would be the nature of the magma eruption? It will be volatile, whether it will be smooth. Okay, so according to that, the textures will be defined by the rocks. Also, it determines the cooling. If highly viscous, that means it will be blow in a very same locations, and its cooling rate will be slow. Okay, so this is how it determines its texture. Now, third one is the amount of the dissolved gases. The amount of the dissolved gases determine the what it determine? It determine the eruptions, nature of the eruption, nature of the eruptions. If it has a high dissolved gas, it means high volatiles like water vapor, CO2, SO2, other gases. If it has a very high volatiles, so its eruptions would be going to be very volatile eruption. So कैसा होगा? Very volatile eruption. If very volatile eruptions, like the rock textures would be like pyroclastic texture, vesicular texture. So this is how these factors, the rate of the cooling rate, the amount of the silica present, and the dissolved gases determine the textures of the igneous rock. So if you like this video, please share and subscribe, and in the next session we will cover the different types of the igneous textures. Thank you guys.